Hello everyone, I'm Jennifer Jiggis with Quilters Select, and I want to share with you some information on our 60-degree ruler. I love Quilters Select rulers because the back has that wonderful non-slip coating across the entirety of the surface of the ruler. So when I'm cutting anything, whether it's just a straight line or particularly when I start to cut things that are a little bit more intricate, like my 60-degree angles and my diamonds and my triangles, I love and rely on that non-slip coating to ensure that my cuts are that much more accurate and consistent. So this particular ruler is a 60-degree diamond, and it really has a lot of versatility. You can use this ruler to cut diamonds that are all the way up to a height of about 12 inches finished. You can also use it to cut half diamond units, and you can use it to cut 60-degree triangles if you're so inclined. For the purpose of this video, we're going to be looking at what the ruler is designed to do first and foremost. And in future videos, we'll take a look at some tricks that the 60-degree diamond ruler does. So as we look, you'll see that there are markings down through the ruler to indicate a variety of sizes of diamonds. Now, when you're cutting your strip sets for your diamonds, you need to determine what size diamond you'll be cutting. So for this particular exercise, or this particular video, we are starting with a strip set that is 3 inches. So our finished unit will be 3.5 inches wide. So what we're looking at is this dimension here. Now, if you are simply playing with some scraps and looking at putting together something beautiful with diamonds, then this number is not going to be so important. If you are following along with a commercially written pattern, then they'll tell you what size strip set to start with in order to cut your diamonds. Now, the other feature of this ruler that I particularly like is that the end has been squared off so that when we're ready to join all of our little diamond units together, we're not going to end up with excessive bulk in those areas where we have the joins. All right, so I have my strip set cut. I'm going to place it on my Quilters Select mat. Let's get our finished piece here out of the way. Now, because these rulers are non-slip, and if I'm trying to fussy cut something, or maybe I wasn't as accurate when I first put my ruler down on my fabric as I should have been, I really like to use a Quilters Select handle so that I can move that ruler around and lift it and not drag it, but lift it across the fabric so that I can position it exactly where I need for it to be on my fabric. So to cut my diamonds, I have already cut the edge of this fabric strip at a 60-degree angle. So I am simply going to align the 3-inch line on my ruler with the cut edge of my fabric, the 3-inch line, diamond line on the cut edge of my fabric here, and then use my rotary cutter to cut. Slide my strip away. Now here at the end, we do want to nip off that little piece. Then I'll move my ruler. I am aligning that 3-inch line with the raw edge of the fabric. The top edge is even. The 3-inch line on the ruler is even with the raw edge of the fabric. And cut. Again, I want to nip that little edge away. Now, once I've cut all of my units, for diamonds in particular, I do like to go back and square off the other pointed edge. So I'll simply lay my ruler down on top, aligning the edges of the ruler, and then nip off those points. And I'll do that for each set of diamonds. Again, this is simply to eliminate bulk when I get ready to join the diamonds together. Now, if you're following a commercial pattern, it's going to give you some very specific direction as to what you're stitching and in what order that you're stitching. As a general rule, when we get ready to sew our fabrics together and we get ready to join diamond units, we're going to be doing this on the diagonal. Okay, so it's going to be an angled strip set versus a straight across strip set. So the first thing we would do if we were stitching together something like this is I want to create my first diamond so that I will then work my way diagonally with the next diamond and the next diamond and so on. So let's make this a little bit more interesting than just having two fabrics that are the same. And let's cut one more strip set. This is going to be a very blendy type of a project here today. So let's start by cutting our angle on the one side. So we're going to cut here so that we have our 60-degree diamond angle started. And this is a smaller strip of fabric, so we can just turn this right around. It's going to stay in place underneath the ruler. We want our 3-inch line on the ruler aligned with the raw edge of the fabric, the 3-inch diamond line over here on the other end, and we'll clip. Move the ruler, making sure everything's aligned, and cut. And then again, I want to nip those little edges. I can do them as I go, or I can wait until all of them are cut and then go back and clip off the tips of the diamonds. Again, that's just to eliminate the bulk in the seam allowance. Now at the machine, when we're ready to sew the units together, we're going to lay them out in the order that we wish to create our unit. Now when you're doing this at home, when you're doing this for a project or getting comfortable learning how to use your ruler, I would most definitely treat my fabric with a little fabric stiffener or starch before I cut. It'll just make your life a little easier. Okay, so here's the unit that we're going to build to create our diamond. Let's just make it a four diamond unit. Here's our piece. So we would start by stitching these two pieces together, these two pieces together, and then we're going to sew the two together to create a diamond. Then that diamond is placed next to the next diamond, to the next diamond, to the next diamond, or whatever the units happen to be for the project that you're working on. Now when I lay these right sides together, as you have a look, you're going to see that because we've nipped them off, those two edges are going to line beautifully. And we're going to start stitching right here. Okay, that's our indicator of where that 1/4 inch line is so that we can simply sew right down our unit. And every one of them will be aligned exactly the way that it needs to be to continue stitching on that process. Okay, so again, that nipped line or that nipped edge is to show you where your 1/4 inch start and stop points are. Now, another tip for accuracy. Again, there's a lot of joins here in between the units where all of our points are coming together. We want to eliminate as much bulk as possible. And so we've done part of that by nipping off the edge, right, that top point on the diamond. The other is by using the appropriate thread. So I like to work with a 60 weight Quilters Select thread in my needle and an 80 weight in my bobbin. That's going to give me a very, very fine seam that doesn't take up a lot of room in the turn of the cloth, and it's also going to be very strong and very durable. Now, the other tip that I would give you for working with units like this is there are times when you're going to want to press them open. So as I worked down this portion of the joins, I pressed open. As I worked in this direction, I pressed to one side. It is okay to press those seams open. The one thing to keep in mind if you are pressing your seams open is when it is time to do your final quilting, just keep in mind that you're going to need to do more than simply stitch in the ditch, because then you're going to be stitching through those open seams. So just some planning, a little additional tip for you as you're putting together something that has a lot of points and tiny, tiny pieces. Now the other way that we can use this 60-degree diamond, we just looked at a strip set type of cut. You can also use the diamond if you are cutting large diamonds and want to do something where it's a little more fussy cut. And in which case, I would simply take my ruler, place it over my fabric, and then cut all the way around the ruler to get that full diamond unit. And it is just that simple. and easy to create things that are a little more complicated or complex looking and still have the advantages of that non-slip coating on the back of your ruler, your nipped off edges, and your appropriate thread for more precise piecing. We can't wait to see what you're doing with these rulers.